Hello everyone, got a nice book tag to do for you today. I was tagged by a fellow named Phillip Hall, who is new to my booktube life. His channel name appears to be Phillip Hall, but it does say "at a poet reads to write," and apparently he is an Australian poet, critic, and independent scholar. Ooh, look at him. This is a tag, it's called Love is in the Air, but it's originally called Spring is in the Air. And it was created by Daniela at Uncommon Reader, and I believe that's pronounced Reney, or Reney, or Reney, at Beyond Books, WT5IL. There are, I didn't see how many prompts there are total, there's 9 altogether. And so, here we go. Prompt number 1, Spring Chicks. A book that made you feel warm and fuzzy. So I got to retell a story I've told on this channel before about in 1983 when Return of the Jedi came out in theaters. Before I went to see it, I ran across the novelization in stores. Oh, look, that cover came in a t-shirt. Neat. But I was like, I didn't know about these sorts of things. And I'm like, what is this book doing out before the movie? That's crazy. So I bought it and I said, well, I'm just gonna, read it after I see the movie. I don't be spoiled for the movie. Well, down visiting relatives, a little on the boring side there, down there in Kentucky, in the middle of the Appalachian Mountains. So I figured, just read the first page. That's no big deal. And the first page is amazing. So I thought, well, I'll just go the first chapter. Well, that's pretty good too, and so on. And went ahead and read it, spoiled me for everything. I couldn't wait to see the movie. It didn't ruin anything, but I knew it was going to happen. It's what's neat about this, and I could be a little bit, someone could try to call me biased because Star Wars, everything. I've read other novelizations. The original one's a pretty good book. The Empire Strikes Back novelization is just kind of there. There's nothing really special about the book itself or the Phantom Menace novelization. But these hit a mark here. And so when I read this in 1983, after I read this in 1983, so time passes. Revenge of the Sith comes out, and the novelization is done by Matthew Stover. And so I went ahead and got it, and this is striking. It's not. These aren't normal. These aren't normal books. These aren't just telling you the things that happened in the movies. These strike a whole mark on their own. This thing even 200 friggin' pages, and it just hits an emotional depth. And so then comes along Stover here and just smashes you in the face with this book. The prose are great. The elaboration on characters are great. There's a lot of people, fellow Star Wars fans, that said, you know what? The prequels didn't do it for me. Well, I'm telling you right now, this will do it for you. This is, well, vaguely like the movie, but it is its own animal. It's different, and it hits emotional marks like crazy. These are astoundingly well written books, and I'm using this for the answer, warm and fuzzy, because this gave me what is called the old Star Wars feeling, and it feels really good. My little inner child was so happy to be able to read this and get the feeling this gave me so many years before. I think that maybe there's some light Star Wars fans out there. You kind of like the stuff. I think you'll really feel these books. They just feel good reading them. Bam, right there. Prompt number 2. It says April showers, a book set on or near the water. So I'm going to go with a couple here. The first one, this did become a movie, which was okay, I guess, by Stephen Alton, Meg. So what's interesting, so this is about a megalodon. I think your average great white shark is something in between 15 and 20 feet long. And when you get to a 20-foot long great white, you're getting among the biggest of the sharks that there are. I think there's somewhere there's one that's like 22 or 23 foot long. FYI, Jaws is supposed to be 25 foot long. So megalodons are like upwards of 50 is generally a number given to the megalodon, and it was the apex predator of its time. So one is found and gets loose. It's down in the Marianas Trench and is able to make its way up, and it gets loose. Now, whatever it is, it's just a 50 fucking long shark. I mean, it's just. But when you read this book, it's almost Godzilla. But it's only this little 50-foot long thing. We could just riddle it with a machine gun. I assume. Maybe I'm wrong about that, because I have heard things like you get people out in the wild who will tell you, if you try to shoot a polar bear with a gun, you're dead. It's not going to do anything to it. So maybe an Uzi isn't going to do much to a Meg. I don't know for real what would happen there. But this thing is, it's almost, it's somehow terrifying and funny at the same time. And I'm not going to ruin anything. All I'm going to tell you is the grandma scene is what you're going to read this book for. But that's a pretty good book right there. And I've read all its sequels too. It's a good series. It's fun to read. It does get a little big for its britches, I think. Kind of, really didn't need the sequels, but they were fun to read. Another one, not so sea-bound, but it's by the water. This is Carpathia. It's by Matt Forbeck. And what this is, the Titanic sinks, and the Carpathia is going by, and it's infested with vampires. So guess what's happening to all the people who have gone into the water at the Titanic site? Vampires. It's a fun book to read. I'm not even that big a vampire fan, but when I read through that, it does something good for you. Prompt number 3. Talk about a time you when you took a break from reading. Now, I don't really recall ever having a reading break. As a child, I remember in like the 2nd grade, we read Charlotte's Web as a class and then watched the film as a class. But I wasn't a reader. Maybe there was occasionally, you go to the library, you kind of flip through some things, but I wasn't much of a reader. I was handed, I didn't bring it, but, talking about Star Wars books, the original A New Hope novelization, I was given that, and that was a level up read. Previous attempts to turn me into a reader included The Island Stallion, and boy, was that book boring. But I was given Star Wars, being a little Star Wars kook, and boy, that set me off there. Then I went off into, I discovered Dungeons and Dragons, which, by the way, I'll get to in a minute. I discovered comic books, and I discovered Choose Your Own Adventure books. Bam! And thanks to Star Wars, I started wondering, what is this speed of light thing they keep jumping to? We had a set of encyclopedia in the house, and I went and found out. And so, encyclopedia, comics, Choose Your Own Adventure, I became a regular reader, nothing particularly sophisticated. I remember trying to read 2010, The Year We Make Contact by Arthur C. Clarke, and though I enjoyed it because I had seen the movie, it was a little over my head at the time. And just so on. I read, I came across The Illustrated Man by Robert Bradbury, and this was a level up read for me. So I just kept going. I don't remember a particular, not a break per se. It just kind of is like an upside down pyramid. As I kept hitting books, I kept reading more and more and more and more. And so here I am now, just friggin' surrounded by them. So no real breaks. The thing I come close to as a break is maybe after I've read a book, I take that day away from reading and don't read anything else that day. Prompt number 4, Swallow's Homecoming, a book or author you always return to for comfort. So this is a big one because I used to reread books. Among them, this is Larry Niven, Protector. I just picked this almost at random off the shelves in an old B. Dalton bookstore and didn't know who Larry Niven was. I just liked the this astronaut thing here. This is a hard science fiction book. This, however, fits in what Larry Niven calls known space. This includes Ringworld. So I had just read this first, and upon reading this, this was my favorite book. I had a favorite book for years, and it was this one. And I have to say, without trying to ruin it, though maybe you can kind of figure it out if you decide to dive in, you really should read this before you ever read the Ringworld books. Boy, what a spoiler that would be. It's not I think it's like the third book that really becomes a prominent issue, so you can probably get books 1 and 2 out. But this should be the first one you read. My experience was that I read this first and went on to Ringworld, and that, oh boy, did that fit the bill. This is an alien visitation. This is a belter civilization, the asteroid belt. Fusion-powered ships that can go 1G, which is what you're feeling as you sit here now. In space, you wouldn't feel anything unless you have a motor pushing you, and that becomes a little bit of a artificial gravity for you. And they zip about the solar system. And I think at 1G it takes, let's see, that would be a couple of days to get from Earth to Mars. Then I think something more like a week to get out into the asteroid belt from Earth. And from Earth to the orbit of Pluto would take something like 3 weeks or so. So that's what you can get out of that. And this alien comes from the center of the galaxy. Hard science fiction, so he's not going, warp drive, hyperspace, anything like that. He hopped in what's called a ram scoop, which sucks in hydrogen, fuses it, and pushes it out the back. And because he got up close to the speed of light, his journey, it actually took him something like 20,000 years, but he only experienced 2,000 years. But he had the mental fortitude to sit in a space probably no bigger than what you get on a space shuttle for that entire journey, and that's what they're dealing with when he arrives. That's an astounding book right there, and I have read it I think four times I've read that. Here's one I read a couple of times. Paul McCauley, Evening's Empires, another hard science fiction book. This is a loss of family and betrayal, and takes place more in the outer solar system. And he's off to solve a mystery as to what happened and why he got hijacked, and all the politics of the outer solar system and each individual worldlet that you can go to. This is how shall I say, a grand adventure for just this teenage kid, but this is not a YA book by any stretch of the imagination. And this is one of my favorite books. If I have to make top 10 lists, these books go on that. Another one I reread a few times, I think 3, Neuromancer, William Gibson. This made cyberpunk what cyberpunk is. I have read my feelings on a matter of, not for this Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson would be the cyberpunk book, but unfortunately this one really became the icon, and you have the usual jacking in everything you've ever heard. A lot of the phrases and vernacular you hear in the Matrix films comes right out of this. There was I didn't realize it at the time, there was Eliza Dushku. She had a TV series called Dollhouse, and what she did was this device would make her forget who she was, and then she was used as sometimes a mercenary to go out and do some missions, or as a date, and that comes right out of this book, and I didn't realize it till a few episodes in. That comes right out of this. And so this really set the pace for cyberpunk dystopian, but a little taste of future technology, though I don't know that anyone's ever going to, put holes in their head and jack some metal thing in the back of their skull just because they want to surf the web better. But 2 astounding reads that I read multiple times. Comfort, though, I have read through the Chronicles of Thomas Covenant, the Unbeliever, just once. But I sometimes, between books, like to go back and read certain passages. This is my favorite fantasy series of all time, and it is probably the most emotional thing I've ever read. I like to call it an opera in the form of books. Sometimes a soap opera in the form of books. It's just, I was never, I talked about level ups. This was a huge level up read for me. Probably my favorite book of the 10-book series is The Ill-Earth War there. That's all Stephen R. Donaldson. That scene on the cover does take place, and it's one of those moments right there. This is Moorhan. This is the Forestall. This is a place no one is allowed to go without his permission, and he is a high-powered super druid, and he will smash you, and he's calling for his help. And oh God, there's so many scenes. I did a whole video on the series, so I'll point you in that direction. I'll link at the end of the video or something. But this is a comfort read. I have to go back to it because I like it too much, and the scenes in this are just such high drama. Comfort reading. A gamer who hasn't gamed that much or as much as I like to, you may have seen this. Dungeons and Dragons Red Box. This is an original. This is an original. I had it for Christmas when I was a young boy in the early 80s. They gave me this. They found out I was getting into D&D a little bit. And this is the original. It's a little worn because just me by myself. I flipped through this so many times. It's just an old happy friend that you like to look at. There's some old artwork there and her chainmail yoga pants. This initial adventure that you go on to learn the basic rules. What's interesting, so they introduce her, the cleric Alina, and she's your beautiful companion. And there's two ways it goes, and she dies in both of them. And so the idea here being, it doesn't matter who you are, how much you like someone, you can lose your character in these games. You're not always going to win. The character of Alina, interesting enough, D&D has one of its many worlds called Mystara, and there is a named character, a cleric named Alina, and it actually says, if she's actually dead in your campaign, fine, but in ours, she actually does survive her initial killing in the initial book of Bargle, the evil wizard who had killed her in this. So it ends with the clerics not being able to resurrect her, but apparently they did in the official sources. But this is so much fun to every so often go back and just flip through, along with a whole bookcase full of role-playing game stuff. GURPS, Generic Universal Role-Playing System. Never played this game. And this is one of many world books. And so you get a variety of topics like GURPS Martial Arts, GURPS Ancient Egypt, GURPS Special Ops, GURPS High Tech, and this one is Space. So if you are a sci-fi fan, whether you know the game that well or not, there's a lot of wonderful material in here to help your little sci-fi needs. And this is something, occasionally grab them, flip through them. That's good comfort reading right there. A book or author you always I'm sorry, I did that one already. Prompt number 5, Blooms. A book that starts out slow but blossomed into one of your favorites. Oh, when I was... oh, no. See, this is where you need editing, and I just don't do it. Gosh, I don't know. I could go with Lord Fowl's Bane, which is the previous one to this. These books, they're not... I don't want to call them slow. It's just because I found them too interesting. But maybe there's a pace sometimes that it's not for everybody. These books are not for anybody. I'm not kidding. These are some hard topics and drama to get through sometimes. And so I guess that I'm going to have to go with that answer. I didn't prepare everything. What are you going to do? Prompt number 6, Eggs in a Basket. 3 books on your TBR. So currently I am reading Gods of the Weirdwood by R.J. Barker, and this is doing very well. I already got the sequel, the Warlords of the Weirdwood, and so this is coming next. We'll do a video on this, so I'm not going to talk about that very much. I bought this a while ago when it came out. This is George R.R. Martin presents Wild Cards Pairing Up. What I'm going to have to do if I get to reading this, because this is like the 20-something book in the series, and so I'm going to have to do a video with it where I basically cover as much as I can about the Wild Cards superhero universe, or this is just going to be lost on everything. And so I'll give the foundation with the first few books, and then hopefully this. I've actually read a few that came before this particular one, and they weren't good. I think I just happened across this one. It was new, and thought the description sounded okay, so I went ahead and got it. But the last few books before this one, ouch. The whole series is a little spotty. Some are outstanding, some are just another one here, Generation Ship by Michael Mamey. I have no idea when I'm going to get to this thing, but it is on my TBR. Generation Ship, heading to another star, getting warnings from probes, if I'm not mistaken, about what's there, and the usual cylinder. I assume it's a cylinder. I don't remember. This is a generation starship, slow boat to the next another solar system, and the usual sort of drama that unfolds on such things. Prompt number 7, Green Pastures, a classic that never gets old. So, I have only read a few things that are classics. I think people can count Lord of the Rings as classic, and so I've read that and enjoyed it, and that's not getting old. Before the ones I liked, Herman Melville, Moby Dick, one of the greatest classics of all time. And I did not like this at all. It started out good. I shouldn't say it all. It actually starts out really interesting. But the problem is, up to now, I've had the idea of Moby Dick in my entertainment my whole life. It's always there. Star Trek has used a couple of movies where the idea of his obsession over this whale becomes the theme of the movies. Whenever someone makes a Moby Dick movie, it is about Ahab and his obsession over this damn whale. You know what this book is about? It ain't about Ahab and his obsession over this whale. It is not about that. Earlier on, Ahab is introduced. And from that point on, he's this vague person, just somewhere in the background. You don't hear much from him. I think there's an appearance or two, very brief. 99% of this book has nothing to do with Ahab and his obsession over this whale. This is not about his obsession. This is not about his obsession over that whale. It isn't. It introduces another couple of characters. They go aboard the boat. You get life on the boat. You get a rather long section about the ambergris market. And then only at the end does Ahab find that whale. I stand with thee, and that's the thing. That's it. This is not about Ahab. This is not about Ahab and his obsession with that whale. And I was quite disappointed with this. I thought I was going to get some deeper depth insight into his obsession over the white whale. Nope, nothing. Nope. Just last year, read this for the first time, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I was just watching John at Sci-Fi Scavenger, and he listened to this on audiobook, and he said he didn't like it at all. But I actually wound up really loving this. I liked its prose. It's just so poetic, and Frankenstein's nothing like you've ever seen in, I think, like 99% of the entertainment that's shown him in any movie or TV show. There's one, Penny Dreadful, that came much closer to this, that was in a whole other context because it's not about Frankenstein. But this just shocked me. It's so good. The prose in this are beautiful. And the story about, this angst between Frankenstein and his monster. I picked up this illustrated version. I'm glad I did because I like the way it's put together like that. So there's a classic that I was very happy with. The complete Sherlock Holmes. Yeah, I read it all. Read it all one go. Took a while. That's a chunk. Oh, yeah, there it is. So I remember I did some book tab about what's the longest book you've ever read. I think this might be it. I didn't check. 1077, or was Wise Man's Spear a little bit longer? So this is one of the longest books I've ever read. But I just the thing about Sherlock Holmes is in whatever movie I've seen of him, he's portrayed as a bit crazy. Some movies have him actually very serious and sort of normal person. In this, I don't know how. It's not that he's nuts. It's just that he's obsessive and like sort of single-minded. So, for example, you might Watson mentioned to him about the Earth orbiting the sun. He's like, "Does it really? Oh, well, I don't need to know that because that doesn't help me solve crimes, and I'll try to forget about it as quickly as I can." He has this sort of almost, is it pompous, almost haughty, like he's laughing at someone who's challenging him directly, and he's a whole different. The character in this is different from any other character I've seen in a movie or a TV show, and it was fun to read it that way. It's a long one, but what the one thing that stood out was that Moriarty in Sherlock Holmes Entertainment is like a major foe, keeps popping up. There's only one Moriarty story in this whole thing, and that's not even that long a story, but everybody, I guess, Hollywood decided to run with that and make him bigger than he was. I read Dracula. Apparently I don't have a copy of it, unless it's sitting somewhere. I just didn't see it somewhere. But I did read Dracula a long time ago and actually really liked it. There's an unofficial sequel made by a descendant of Bram Stoker, Doc Ray Stoker. That's Dracula the Undead. This is a shocker. This turns everything upside down and has a pretty damn good story between Mina Harker and Dracula. This would kick you in the teeth. He's not fooling around with some of the, gosh, what do you want to call it? Revenge? Murders? I mean, it bites you. Pun not intended, but I'll intend it now. But good stuff there. And the original. What's the original? I like the Nosferatu film recently too. That was outstanding for me. Let's see. Prompt number 8. Pollen, a book or author you are allergic to. So I have committed blasphemy in my videos before, and I'll do so now. So here comes Brandon Sanderson. I was told over and over, Mistborn and its magic system is so amazing. And no, not for me. I did not finish this. I got as far as there's a scene where this woman is being trained by someone. You take a coin, you climb up a building, you're overlooking the city, you drop a coin, and then you jump off, and then you can just jump really far. And I just, if I could do that for real, that'd be amazing. But in the context of this book, I'm like, really? This is your magic system? I'm not into it. Having said that, I will say he makes worlds and good characters, because everything was distinct. I was like, okay, this is good, but this magic system was a joke for me. I didn't care for it at all. But here comes Way of Kings, the Stormlight Archives, and I said, I'm getting in on this. And, okay, so in a way, I guess you could say I did like a Brandon Sanderson book enough that I went ahead and I got there's two more that I have. So book one, I started to sense it in here, but like I said, I got through it, and the character I was most interested in is not in it that much, Sun. And so I get to book two, and was bored to tears. And again, the guy does actually know how to put together a good sentence and a good paragraph and characters and so forth, build a world. But the book two, I'm sitting here reading, and I'm like, what is this? It's just droning on and on and on and on and on, and with nothing that has anything to do with anything. It just went on and on and on. And I finished that second book. I said, look, I'm going to go for the third, but if it does what the second one does, I'm out. And I didn't make it. I don't think I made it 75 pages. So me and Sanderson, the beloved Sanderson, do not mix. And I have a theory, and I'm not alone in this theory, that I am willing to bet that there are editors out there that aren't going to edit when an author gets too big. Sanderson is huge in this industry. And I bet when he turns in a script or a book, editor just, well, I'm not going to edit this because he could fire me and then I'm not his editor anymore. I'd be willing to bet there's editors who's like, Stephen King book, oh, well, okay, just publish it. I ain't going to touch that. I think they get too big and the editors don't want to edit, because if I had been his editor, a book two would have been about that big. And all these books are about the same size. Been about that big. Like 90% of that book. Just could not stand it. Bored to tears. Having said that, I've seen a few interviews with him. He's like just the nicest guy in the world, but not for me. Prompt number 9, Equinox. 2 books on your shelves of equal length or worth. I thought that was an interesting question. So what I decided to do, since they are all about the same size as you can see, 2 of these are sequel, duology actually, and this one's by itself. So this is Rocket Girls. The author's name is Hosuki Nojiri. Rocket Girls, this is such hard science fiction, it might as well just be fiction. She goes to the Solomon Islands. She's a young girl. I believe she's like, I think they said she's like 88 pounds. And there is a rocket company trying to get off the ground. And what they're going to do is they want to launch an astronaut out into orbit, even up to geosynchronous orbit, and repair satellites. And they're having trouble trying to get a rocket sized correctly with a light enough astronaut in order to get up there and save weight and space and so on. And she just happens to fit the bill, and they're going to make her an astronaut in this. When I was reading this, because these are some Japanese entertainment came across the way, there was something I was sensing this, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it until I got to its sequel. And it starts out a little kooky with this splashdown in a pool, and there's 2 girls, and they decided to go shopping, and he really describes this thing of them getting their heels in their skirts, and like something's amiss here. And then later on in the book, there's this moment where I don't want to give it away, but she enters this area and surprises 2 people in that area, and one just comes flying out at her, shocked, and disaster results. And I thought about that. I'm like, why did that happen? That didn't make any sense until I thought, oh, these are like anime. And as soon as I started picturing the happenings in this second book as an anime, I'm like, oh, this makes perfect sense. It works. But this one less so. It works on its own. This is a fun, good book. One of the funnest things I've ever read. Can't recommend that enough. And there is another in that realm. All You Need Is Kill by Hiroshi. I'm going to try this, Sakurazaka. And you may have seen the Tom Cruise movie. What is it called? Edge of Tomorrow. Is that the one? sort of a sci-fi Groundhog's Day. That's what it is. Dude keeps repeating his day in the midst of battle and this alien invasion, and this is the book that movie is based on. And this is a action-packed, fast-paced, fun book to read, science fiction. All the same size too. I wonder if their page count is exactly the same. Here's 196. She got that one got over 200. That one got over. No, these are almost exactly the same page count. But there you go. Some good recommendations for you. I think these are fun for just about anybody that's a sci-fi fan, even a mild one. And that's really it. Prompt 10, of course, is to tag others, but I've tried tagging others before. It never works. There's maybe one or two people that do them, or they've already done this, and so I'm kind of out of the loop. It comes at me and I do them, and I do the book tags. I like doing book tags where I can just start grabbing a bunch of stuff off the shelves and start telling you. Some of these are repeats though, but that's okay. It's fun to do. So that is the Love is in the Air, or Spring is in the Air book tag. I think I'm going to call this one the Spring/Love is in the Air, just to cover all my bases. That's it. Video on this when I can get to it. My reading time has been crushed lately, so I can't get to books as fast as I used to be able to and do videos on them. But that's it. As soon as I can. Another video upcoming. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.